So why is it that employees are burning out more? Burnout is not something that is in particular a new thing, but it does seem like in this decade, the prevalence of burnout, especially across employees, has increased quite a bit. Before I break down the answer to this question or the multiple answers to this question, I do want to ask another one, which is why should you listen to me? I am a software engineer with experience in corporate, with experience in remote work, as well as with experience in freelance. And in this channel, I do a bunch of research on not just the tech industry, but employment trends in general. And I also share that with you. If this sounds like something that can be valuable to you, please subscribe and continue watching. So the first point I want to dissect has to do with the expectation of work that's placed on all existing employees. It's no secret to anyone. It's happened to us in tech that there have been tons of layoffs that have left a lot of people without work, but also, it's the people that remain who have a higher expectation for the work that they should be delivering. And I think a lot of this gets pegged on this concept of, hey, because AI gives us all these productivity gains, we're giving our workers, our remaining workers, more tools. Therefore, in theory, they should be able to do more with less. Now, the big issue, I think, with this is that the productivity gains from AI are grossly overstated. So if you use AI in your daily workflow, you'll know that there is some productivity gains. So you might get potentially let's say a 15% productivity gain, like in between like a 5 to 15% productivity gain, 15% being on the generous side. But these companies think that you're able to actually get like 100% productivity gain, right? In the trends that I have seen, it does seem like there is a misunderstanding of just how much more productive you are with AI, right? And it's not giving you the type of productivity gains that these companies are claiming. That is resulting in them believing that they can give you so much more work and that you're going to be able to do it because you have all these tools at your disposal. And the truth is that humans are not machines. And typically your average human being is going to burn out because the amount of tasks, the amount of responsibilities that they have has multiplied, and the tools that they have to actually solve those tasks are effectively inadequate for them to cover the increased amount of responsibilities. That in and of itself is creating a foundation for increased burnout. The next point that I want to hit, forget 9 to 5. Microsoft says the infinite workday is already here. So what is the infinite workday? So the infinite workday is essentially this dynamic where you're always on. You're never offline effectively. And this is not just a trend that is exclusive to remote work. It seems like this is something that is occurring also with people that are in office. So this is a Microsoft survey that they did with the 365 users on the 365 suite. And it says Microsoft found the workday starts earlier than ever, with 40% of people already online reviewing emails by 6 a.m. That's probably because average worker using 365 receives 117 emails and 153 Teams messages per day. This stuff, it's like you're sending messages and you're communicating with people, but many times, especially for me in engineering, for many of us in tech, we understand that most of the value that we create is not in talking to people, it's actually in delivering the goods, right? And then it says the company also found that it's hard for workers to get much done between 9 to 5, with 50% of meetings called in the moment without a calendar invite. And I think we've all been there. I mean, how many times have you been trying to get important work done and you get hauled into a meeting, and then the meeting is 30 minutes, an hour, but then you sit in that meeting and you're like, man, I don't really even need to be here. Like, why am I here? But there's also a social dynamic at play, a political dynamic at play, where it's like, if I leave this meeting, I think I'm going to be looked at as weird or uninterested in the team. So you persist and you stay in that meeting, and that time kills your productivity. You don't get time back. And the issue is that you have the same expectation for delivery. It's like, all right, I want you to deliver this one thing, and I'm going to throw all of these logistical obstacles in your way, make it very, very hard for you to be able to accomplish your work. But at the end of the week, I don't care. I still want that work to be done. And that kind of dynamic is encouraging of burnout. It's going to lead to burnout. This is another crazy one. So plus, most workers have only 2 minutes of focus time before being interrupted by a meeting, email, or message during those core work hours. Microsoft revealed that meetings hijack prime focus time, since 50% of meetings take place between 9 and 11 a.m. and 1 to 3 p.m., which is when and researchers have shown people are most able to be productive. And you're dealing with interruptions not just on a digital format, but often you're dealing with interruptions in a physical format. The people around you in your office keep talking. If you have an open office environment, it's essentially a jungle. It's really hard to get work done. You put the headphones, sometimes the noise still penetrates through your headphones, and it's just like, man, it's like what the heck are we doing here? Like, are we here to do work, or are we here to have this social high school like experience, right? When you're not able to get the work that your employment hinges on done because of all these external factors and your inability to focus in that kind of chaos, then that's going to lead to burnout. All right. Now, the next point that I want to talk about is attitude, the attitude of management. I will have to say that management has never really been, in a lot of ways, our friend as an employee. But I do think that this situation, the kind of pressure, economic pressure, the kind of pressure from technological innovation like AI has really changed or amplified, more so amplified, how it is that managers approach their employees. They are being more overt with being mean to their employees, and the attitude is essentially, you should consider yourself lucky to just even have a job, right? That kind of attitude is bad because it's berating employees. It's, instead of motivating them, you're talking down to employees. You're not respecting them for their professionalism, and you're giving them more work on top of that. There's no plans of increased compensation. There's no plans of actual promotions. It's just a take relationship. And that is going to lead to burnout too, because who wants to work in an environment like that, right? Who really, it's, if anybody's actually worked in a toxic environment like that, you'll know it is very difficult to get back to your work because you are effectively being emotionally assaulted. And that kind of attitude creates a hostile, toxic atmosphere at work. And you don't want to talk to your coworkers because everybody is afraid and paranoid of being fired. And it creates a lot of a resentment from employees toward leadership. And ultimately, I really don't think that leaders can stand on behaving like that. All you're going to do is, like, all the employees are realistically going to do is hate their job. They're not going to want to do it. From an employee perspective, it's leading to tons of burnout because that environment is toxic to be around. It's bad for your health psychologically. It's bad for your self-worth. It's bad for your self-respect. So the next thing that is leading to burnout has to actually do with our devices. I would encourage you to think about how much time of your day is spent looking at some kind of screen. And for us as knowledge workers, it's essentially your desktop, your laptop, and your phone, right? So your physical attention is always to one of these devices. And because of that, whenever a notification pops up on your phone or on any of these devices, you're going to be more encouraged to check it, right? So although you technically clock out at 5, because you have these devices around you all the time, your tendency to check your inboxes, your DMs, your tendency to do work anywhere too is just going to be there, right? So what I'm saying is you can't just turn it off, and that leads to burnout. And then this other one, do you actually feel safe at work, right? Because of the instability of the market, we essentially fear as employees that we could get laid off at any time. So that creates this paranoia that really it's just a matter of time before it's your turn. And every little behavior that you do, every little action, it's almost like there's this unspoken threat that you can be let go of any time, tying into what I said earlier, where this attitude of you're lucky to have a job, right? And this fear of going into the unknown, this fear of going into the job market and not knowing how quickly you're going to be able to get your next job. And really, this is in particular the issue with people who really put all their eggs in one basket. That paranoia will eat at you. It'll eat at your psychology. It will eat at your energy. It will eat at every single action that you do, because at that point, you're not acting with the almost energizing confidence that comes with knowing that you're good, that you're stable, and you're acting more in the space of paranoia. Not having no paranoia is probably a bad thing too, because if you're too comfortable, that's usually when you get snipped. But too much paranoia is definitely in this equation adding to that burnout. Okay, so the next point that I want to bring here is more of a macro analysis on the economy. When 2020 hit, there was a massive amount of money printing that occurred. So that massive amount of money printing leads to inflation. That inflation means that the value of your dollar goes down. It creates a dynamic at work where you end up having to work more to sustain the same purchasing power. So just to give you a little bit of context, in 2025, in order to have the purchasing power of 110,000, the equivalent of $110,000 in 2019, you actually have to earn somewhere around $140,000. Essentially what that means is that in order for you to have the same purchasing power that you had in 2019, you have to earn 25% more in general. That creates a massive issue because it's forcing us to be putting in more time, more hours to sustain the same quality of life. Money printing, in my opinion, ends up being one of the biggest scams that our society is based on. But insofar as the scope of this video, that is one of the key reasons why people are burning out. The last point that I want to talk about has to do with mindset. And the thing is that when you're an employee, it doesn't matter what your specialty is. It doesn't matter that you have X amount of years in experience. A lot of times, if you're not in the right position, if you're not in a more privileged managerial or leadership position, your professionalism and your experience will not be respected as much as it could be in the free market. I don't know why that is, but when you're in corporate, you tend to be looked at less as a professional and much more so as an employee, right? You're looked at as an employee in corporate, like that seems obvious, right? But when you're approached like that, many times just simply get less respect because less because of your skill set, but more because of the hierarchical nature of that dynamic. If you have a superior, they're always going to naturally, because of that dynamic, look down on you, right? At least in cases where your superior does not have enough leadership skill developed, or if you're being led by somebody who is just not a good leader, a lot of times you're not going to get the respect that you deserve. And that is going to lead to burnout because you've worked really hard to attain that skill. You worked really hard just so that your opinions are not taken into consideration. It's like, why learn all these things if I'm not going to be seen as an authority on them, right? And that's why I also encourage you all, when you're looking for work, don't just go for the numbers. Don't just go for the increase in paycheck, but really make sure that you're emphasizing and focusing on companies that are going to be a good fit, that are going to treat you well. Because at the end of the day, the money will do very little to band-aid working at a place that you hate and that is burning you out. And if you're in a situation where you want to change careers, or you want to change jobs, or you've been laid off, or you're afraid of being laid off, I want you to take the time and check out my guide that I put down here in the link in the description. And in this guide, I walk you through step by step how to get a new job in today's market, not in the market from 2021. This method and these steps worked for one of my students, and he has very, very little experience in tech. You don't have to be in tech, but this is especially for tech professionals. This guy had no experience in tech, and through this method, through these steps, was able to land his first job in tech support. So I really encourage you to check it out. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's completely free. All you have to do to access it is go to the link in the description box below, click it, sign up, and get access to the guide immediately. If you want a little bit more detail on the guide and you want me to actually walk you through it step by step, then I would like for you to check out this video here. I walk through each of those steps in detail and provide you with the information necessary to help you get your next job opportunity. I am 100% confident that if you apply the guide and you do it for long enough, that you will soon see more interviews come through your pipeline, and that ideally you will see yourself in a better job sooner than later. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.